go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. I know fantasy season is over, except for all y'all that do play your finals in Week 18, which is crazy. What are we talking today? Week 18 game day preview. Got my game predictions. Who's going to make it into the playoffs? Who's going to be kicked out? It's lots of moving parts. Still lots of teams vying for those playoff spots, including my Buffalo Bills. We'll get to that contest as well. For all y'all that don't know, I do drop my point spread picks usually on Twitter before the contest. So, I mean, last 3 weeks, I've done fairly well, man. 9-7 last 3 weeks. 56% is better than Vegas, y'all. I'm earning dollar bills. My season record tally is over 52%, so it is good news. Let's go down this path of how many contests we're talking, man. Today, Saturday contest, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Huge contest as the Steelers. I mean, their season has been up and down, and they're still alive. If they got many options to get into this playoff, they are favored by 3 points simply because the Baltimore Ravens are sitting all their starters this week. Lamar Jackson and company will not suit up in this contest, so Pittsburgh does need the win. If they win and get some help with the Bills loss, a win with the Jacks loss or tie, win with Houston and Indy tie. I mean, there's so many variables for this Pittsburgh Steelers team to make it into the postseason. First, they got to take care of business and win this game versus Baltimore Ravens. Huntley will be starting. We have seen this Baltimore Ravens team with a Huntley behind center, so it's not out of the question that these Ravens will not play hard and push the Steelers to the brink of, elimination, playoff elimination, and it would not shock me whatsoever. Even if the Steelers do win this contest, I don't think it's going to cover, man. I think that at least it's going to be 1 2-point contest, if not a push on the 3-point, man. These types of contests usually end in 3 points or less. So, I mean, I do like the Baltimore +3 on the point spread pick, but I do think that Baltimore can carve out a victory here, help out us all as Bills Mafia supporters. But, I mean, Tomlin has done a hell of a job this year with all the injuries that they have had. Changeover at the quarterback spot. Still no word if it is Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett that I've seen thus far. So it will be interesting to see who does suit up in that contest. Next one on Saturday, Houston taking on those Indianapolis Colts. Both teams 9-7. Houston wins the AFC South with a Jacksonville loss, a win, a Jacksonville loss, or a tie, or they get in the playoffs with a win or tie, Jacksonville loss, Pittsburgh loss. So, I mean, Houston is going to understand what they're playing for after that Pittsburgh contest here on Saturday, so it is going to be very interesting. Indy wins the South with a win, Jack's loss, tie, or a tie with Jack's plus loss, and then playoffs win in tie, Pittsburgh loss, or tie. It is going to be very interesting. So there is lots of things. As long as this contest doesn't end in a tie, we should understand what's going down for Sunday football after we see these contests go down. Houston has been very good this year. CJ Stroud has been that dude. Losing Tank Dell definitely did hurt, but I mean, they still got guys like Nico Collins. They got Robert Bobby Trees Woods. Devin Singletary has played extremely well. Noah Brown is out of this contest, so that is going to be a loss of target weapon, so we'll see how they're going to be able to move this football. Zach Moss is on the questionable. Notable names, nothing really of notable issue of missing this contest, so I do believe right now Houston is favored at 1.5 points. I am taking these Houston Texans, even though Indianapolis has played extremely well. I think CJ Stroud coming back from the concussion last week looked good enough. Didn't look great, didn't look sharp, but I mean, we had to expect Russ to be on his side, but he's going to push his way into the postseason. Rookie season dynamo. He's played absolutely stellar. Indianapolis, you got to give it to him. They have played a hell of a season given all the issues that they have had on that club, man. Cleveland Brownies taking on Sunday contest, taking on these Cincinnati Bengals. 11-5 Brownies resting their starters. What a season it is in the dog pound. You guys got to be elated getting into the postseason. There is anything that can possibly happen with a Joe Flacco looking great since coming off the couch, is going to lead this Cleveland Browns team into the playoffs, and he's got the pedigree of being a Super Bowl champion, being that guy that, has got some ice in his veins, can sling the football, so they're definitely resting here. Joe Mixon on the questionable, T. Higgins on the doubtful. We've seen Jamar Chase likely going to suit up in this contest, so that is good news for these Bengals. Bengals are favored by 7 points. Over-under is quite low. It's under 40 points. So you don't expect a whole heaping of point totals, but I do still believe that the Browns defense can keep this close. That's why I was flirting with the idea of keeping the Browns at +7, but I really do think this could get out of hand as Cincinnati is playing for pride, and they will showcase what they have against the Cleveland backups. I am taking the Bengals here at -7. Minnesota, huge game for the Vikings as well. Playoff implications, we got the Detroit Lions. They're dealing with, questionable tags of Laporta and J-Mo. So we'll see how their starters do play. I do believe there still is some placement movement for these Detroit Lions to move up and down placement-wise, but they're already stamped their ticket at 11-5, where the Minnesota Vikings are 7-9. They need playoffs. They need a win, a Green Bay loss, Seattle loss, and a Tampa loss, so they need a lot of help. Playoffs also with a win, Green Bay loss, Seattle loss, or New Orleans loss. So there is potential here that they have to take care of business versus these Detroit Lions. Minnesota does, and they are starting Nick Mullins here at quarterback after seeing the Jaren Hall experiment not work well last week, which was a debacle in my opinion. I don't understand what they were thinking in that contest, as they still had playoff lives on the docket. But I mean, starting Mullins here, we know he's likely going to throw some interceptions, but at least he can move the football down the field. I'm still going with these Detroit Lions. I think they still got a little bit to play for here. They may rest their starters as we get into the second half of the contest, which may inflate the score. I would have loved to have been at a -3 for these Lions. I would have took that all day long, but I'm still taking it at -3.5 for these Detroit Lions. Let's go Motor City. We got to see what they can do as they roll deep into those playoffs. Detroit looks good, and they're still learning on the fly, but these Vikings, I think their playoff lives will be done after this contest. No kidding. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on those Tennessee Titans. Another big game for playoff implications. Jags have been slumping as of late. Trevor Lawrence is questionable. Same with Christian Kirk on the IR. Return is questionable. He may not suit up in this one, but they're saying there is some, outside chance that he could suit up in this contest. Jags do win the South with a win or tie. Houston, Indy tie, or they get in the playoffs with a tie. Pittsburgh loss, or a Pittsburgh loss, Denver loss, or Houston, Indy tie. No tie, excuse me. So, I mean, there's so many moving parts in this situation. Jacksonville does look like the best one. They win, they're in, and they don't have to worry about anything else after that. So, I mean, for Buffalo Bills, I'll get down to that as well. This game is also very important for the Bills. Also, Tennessee really playing spoiler in this contest. Derrick Henry potentially last contest as a Tennessee Titan is definitely here on the docket as well. This could be the last time we see these Titans look the way they are, as it could be in full rebuild mode next year. No more Tannehill, no more Derrick Henry. We'll see what happens with D-Hop, and then do they move forward with, Tajay Spears and Will Levis, and we'll see how this team does move. So they are playing one last kick in the can to play spoiler. And while I do think the Jags do win this contest, I think the Titans killed the spread late at +4. Let's take these Titans playing spoiler, even though 41 points with Ryan Tannehill. It is a little bit, more game manager role, and Derrick Henry running the ball. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a very big day. New York Jets taking on those New England Patriots. Not much here except for playing for pride for both clubs. I mean, the Jets 6-10, the Patriots with a regrettable season at 4-12 potential. Bill Belichick no longer the head coach for this club after this season. That is the rumor that we're seeing. Hunter Henry and Devontae Parker really the only notable names that are potentially sits. They are questionable right now. Jets are relatively healthy on the side, healthy quote unquote, going into the final week of the regular season. Breece Hall has been running like a maniac. They dropped Dalvin Cook, and he got picked up by those Baltimore Ravens as well. Should have mentioned that. Not sure how much playing time Dalvin Cook will get in that Ravens game, but I mean, we'll see how much the Jets do play. Guys like Breece Hall, we could see a lot of Abanikanda, a lot of backups in this contest, but this is a big game for New England to at least save their season in pride ways, I guess, but I'm still going with the Jets. I think the defense will put up in more than enough to stifle a Billy Zappi, and I'm taking the Jets +2 in a game that is really absolutely pointless in this respect. Atlanta Falcons taking on the New Orleans Saints. Huge game for the NFC South. Atlanta needs to win and have a Tampa Bay loss to make it in. Taylor Heineke is questionable, likely to suit up in this contest, where the Saints, man, they get the NFC South with a win and a Tampa loss or tie. They get the NFC South with a tie and a Tampa loss. Playoffs, they're in with a win, Seattle loss, Green Bay loss, or tie, or they tie Seattle loss and Green Bay loss. So, Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara both on the questionable tag. And the way the Saints played last week, you got to feel that the momentum is still swinging in their direction. Atlanta's played fairly well overall this season. The defense has been very good. We're not going to say anything bad about the Falcons defense, because with Jesse Bates in the backfield, that secondary has absolutely transformed and will give a run for their money on the receivers in this contest. So Chris Olave, get ready. You're going to have lots of coverage coming your way, but this is in New Orleans. I do like the Falcons at home more than I do on the road, and especially the way Derek Carr has got to salvage what this season is. I think he's going to play one of his better contests. I am taking taking the Saints at -3. They are favored at home with 42 points is the over-under. So, I mean, we could definitely see a lot of point totals on the board. I do expect Bijan Robinson to get a full workload in this contest as well, but I am going with the New Orleans Saints to win this contest. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on those Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers playing spoiler at 2-14. Nothing really to play here for. I mean, Mingo's on the IR, J.C. Horn questionable, Troy Hill questionable. So, I mean, a lot of these guys, they're playing for pride, play out their season, play for jobs next season, where Tampa Bay has played extremely well. Baker Mayfield is put on the questionable tag at this point, but he is ready to go from what I'm seeing at this point. Tampa Bay wins the NFC South with a winner tie. New Orleans loss or tie. Playoffs, they are in with a tie. Seattle loss and Green Bay loss or tie. So, I mean, Tampa Bay does have a very good shot at winning this division and taking it into the postseason. You got to give it to Baker Mayfield. Absolute great season for him. What a turnaround. Could be over 4,000 yards from what I'm seeing. So, it takes some time, right situation for some of these guys to actually, be that guy in the NFL. And Baker Mayfield's absolutely proven the fact that at least with a good team around him, good set of wide receivers like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, the evolution of Mr. White, the running back. I always forget his first name. It always evades me, man. Rashad White. There we go. Jeez, man. I can't even remember guys' names. But, I mean, Tampa Bay is favored at 4.5 points. 37 is the over-under. I do believe, even though the Carolina Panthers have played pretty well defensively in the back secondary this season, I think Tampa Bay is going to expose them because they know exactly what's on the line. I'm taking Tampa -4.5. They are favored by 4.5. I am definitely taking Tampa all the way to the bank, man. Chicago taking on those Green Bay Packers. As we start these afternoon games even more, it's going to be very good. I love it, man. Chicago playing spoiler as well against these Green Bay Packers. Huge divisional showdown. They got lots of injuries. Mooney on the questionable. Komet, Moore, Herbert, Johnson is on the questionable. Excuse me, stuttering for my words. But, I mean, they got a lot of these guys are going to suit up in this contest, highly likely at this point. We'll see, who the inactives are before kickoff. But Green Bay's playing for a lot. I mean, Jordan Love, feeling love for love. They look good last week. And, I mean, they got the playoffs with a Green Bay win or else a Minnesota loss or tie, Seattle loss, Tampa loss, Minnesota loss or tie, Seattle loss, or New Orleans loss. So there is potential that even if they don't win this contest, that they can still sneak into the postseason. So, I mean, Green Bay, I fully expect to see them on their top dog legs right now in this contest. Preston Smith, Jaden Reed, questionable. Aaron Jones, questionable. Christian Watson, questionable. So there are issues. Aaron Jones should suit up along with Smith and Reed. Reed and Watson are the questionable ones that we got to watch out for, which would impact this contest, I would want to believe, even though the Packers have showcased that, their wide receiver room is loaded with talent with Wicks and Heath. These guys just step into the fold, and Jordan Love can find them, including the tight end Tucker Kraft. So we'll see a lot of, Aaron Jones in this contest. You got to believe Green Bay is favored by 3 points, 45.5 points, because we know Justin Fields is playing for his job next season. What are the Bears going to do? We're going to be talking about that all off season long. What are the Chicago Bears going to do with Justin Fields? Are they going to go Caleb Williams in the draft? What are they going to do? I'm of the opinion right now, I'm going to stamp it right now as of today. This opinion may change. I think you do stick with a Justin Fields. Trade down, stack some picks, go grab yourself a Marvin Harrison Jr. once he declares for the NFL draft, and then you start building this offense and defense continuously, and this team should be able to roll, man. Justin Fields with the same head coach, you got to build that camaraderie, and I think it's a good move if they stick with Justin Fields. I'm going with Chicago +3, where Green Bay is favored -3 at home. Green Bay still could win this contest, but again, could be 1 or 2 point showing, and I think that Justin Fields is going to give everything he's got in this contest. Going to be very tough sledding for those Green Bay Packers. Another contest that doesn't really have any implications other than playing for pride is these Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, Cortland Sutton questionable. Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs has been ruled out at this point, and then Michael Mayer is questionable right now. Las Vegas is favored by 3 points at home. Denver Broncos not using Russell Wilson, obviously, with all that issue with his contract, saying if he does get hurt, he does get guaranteed funds. So they are going to roll with Stidham once again, as far as I've seen at this point. So it is interesting, and I think Max Crosby is going to suit up in this contest as well. Very difficult for Denver all season long to put up a heaping of points to keep up. Over 20 points, very hard for the Broncos to get at this point. Vegas at least is going to be able to spread the ball around. I mean, O'Connell's done more than enough spreading the ball to a Devontae Devontae Adams and Mayers. So I first see the Vegas Raiders finishing on the high note. Zamir Zeus White is going to get another start. I'm going with the Vegas Raiders -3 in a pointless contest. Philadelphia Eagles taking on those New York Giants. Another big contest for the Eagles because the NFC East is up for grabs. Win plus a Dallas loss or tie, or Philly tie, Dallas loss, and that will get them the NFC East. So big time showing for these Eagles. Got to beat up on these New York Giants. Giants playing spoiler. Tyrod is questionable. We'll see. Darius Slay and Devontae Smith have been ruled out at this point. So my graphic is out to date right now. I got them on the questionable. They both have been ruled out at this point. But I do believe the Eagles do need to figure out a lot of their inadequacy. Have not been playing their best football. A lot of people saying it's one of the worst 11-5 teams they have seen in a very long time. We shall see. I still believe in the Eagles. Think that they just kind of hit a little bit of a wall, and they will get right. I think A.J. Brown has a very big game in this contest. I am taking these Eagles at -5.5. Fly, Eagles, fly, because the division is definitely on the line. Seattle Seahawks taking on these Arizona Cardinals. Playoff implications for the Seahawks as well. They need to get in the playoffs. They need a win plus a Green Bay loss or tie. Tie Green Bay loss, Tampa Bay loss or tie, or they tie Green Bay loss, New Orleans loss or tie. So there is multiple ways that the Seahawks can make it into the postseason. Playing these Arizona Cardinals, Kenny Walker questionable, Leonard Williams questionable, and then Jaron Reed questionable. So big names that are on the questionable tag likely to suit up in this contest as well. Have not seen anything to suggest otherwise. Seattle is at -3. 47.5 is the score on the board for the over-under. I might take the under on that one because I don't know if it's going to go that high in point totals, but the Cardinals have been playing decently well. Kyler Murray, since coming back, has at least moved this offense with, not as many pieces as he should have on the field. Do they continue with Kyler Murray after this season? This is almost like the Justin Fields situation. He's auditioning for next year. Will they continue with Murray as a franchise passer? So we shall see, but Seattle definitely lots to play for in the desert. I'm taking the Hawks at -3. No way that they're not going to win this contest. You got to believe. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the LA Chargers in what is now a null contest. Absolutely. Chiefs are resting their starters where, Keenan Allen questionable, Josh Palmer questionable. Will they suit up in this contest? I wouldn't, bet money on the fact that they're going to be rushing to play because the season's done anyway. Why risk the biscuit for, potential offseason injuries? Chargers are favored at -3.5, but it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Even without a Patrick Mahomes, we'll see what they can do. I think this could be a 3-point contest. Are we really trusting Easton Stick to cover 4 points? I am not doing that whatsoever in a contest that absolutely means nothing. Yes, the Chargers, even if they get Keenan Allen back in company, it's going to be very tough sled, and the Chiefs defense is still good enough, even with the backups, to limit this to a 3-point contest. I'm taking the Chiefs at +3.5. LA Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Playoffs are clinched. Number 1 seed is clinched at this point, so this is basically a moot contest as well. 49ers are favored by 4 points. Christian McCaffrey is sitting out. We got Jennings on the questionable, Eli Mitchell on the questionable. I heard Debo's going to play, Kittle's going to play, so there is going to be enough ammo to at least push the ball in this contest. You got to believe the Rams. We'll see how they do play. Haven't heard, if they're resting their starters at this point, outside of Tyler Higbee being out of this contest. We could see the Rams pushing for playoff placement also, even though they do have the division. So it's going to be interesting how this one does shake down. Even if they do lose and the Hawks win, that could absolutely change things as well. I'm going with the LA Rams +4. I think they've played so good this season. They likely will suit up Puka at least in the first quarter. Get him his 28 yards so he can gain that rookie record. But this contest could get out of hand early for either side. We'll see how it does go. 49ers, what do they really have to play for if they've already clinched everything? So I'm going with the Rams at +4. We should see a 3-point contest in this one as well. Dallas Cowboys taking on those Washington Commanders, the Commies. And a big contest again. Dallas Cowboys, they win the NFC East with a winner tie, or a tie plus a Philly loss, or a straight Philly loss. They win the division. So, we got Malik Hooker, Deuce Vaughn, Jitterbug, he's on the IR. Jonathan Hankins is coming back questionable. And then Tyler Smith questionable. Big names to be lost at that point for Dallas. But, taking on the Commies, they're only playing spoiler. They're starting Sam Howell in this contest. Curtis Samuel is questionable. Kendall Fuller. We got Jonathan Allen questionable. St. Just, he's on the questionable. He's been very good this year. Juiced as well. St. Just. And, it's interesting. The spread is extremely large. It is a -13 for the Dallas Cowboys on the road. And I'm gonna take take it. I think the Cowboys really do want a statement game on the road that they haven't had necessarily all season long, and they got to set everything up as they enter the playoffs. NFC East title would be very good for them, so they could host some home games in the playoffs. So we'll see how this does shake down, but I do got the Dallas Cowboys running away with this one at a -13. I foresee a lot of running with Tony Pollard as well, because this game does mean a lot to them, and I do think the Dallas Cowboys should take this division. I don't foresee them losing, so I think the Cowboys will win that division. Sunday Night Football finishing off the Week 18 slate, the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia taking on the Miami Dolphins. What a mess this is for Bills Mafia. We either make the playoffs or we don't. I mean, all depends on the Steelers and the Jags. Buffalo wins the AFC East with a win straight up against these Miami Dolphins, and they take the 2 seed. That is good news for the Bills. So win this contest, and you're good. Playoffs, they need a tie or a pit loss tie. Jacksonville loss or tie, or Houston Indy tie, and that's how they're going to get in. So if the Bills do lose this contest, then everything happened where Pittsburgh wins, Jacksonville wins, and then Houston or Indy don't tie. The Buffalo Bills are going to be out of the playoffs if they don't win this contest. So this is huge contest on Sunday night. Everybody's going to be watching. Miami wins the AFC East with a winner tie versus these Buffalo Bills. They got lots of injuries, man. All their offensive linemen are on the questionable. You got Holland on the questionable, Raheem Mostert questionable, Jalen Waddle questionable, Devin off the A-Chain questionable, Tyree questionable, Xavier Howard is doubtful. He's already been ruled out at this point as well, but we're hearing Jalen Waddle and Mostert are on the better side of suiting up in this contest, which is good news for the Fish, bad news for the Bills in that sense. Tyreek Hill, there was going to be no question he's suiting up in this contest as well. Buffalo Bills, relatively healthy overall. DeMar Hamlin is questionable. Outside of that, no real big key names. Everybody's suiting up in this contest for the Buffalo Bills. Bills are favored by -2.5 on the road. We have heard rumblings that Tua is, dealing with a shoulder issue. Could be pain tolerance, could be greater than that. So we'll see how that does shake down. Buffalo Bills, I fully expect them to bring their absolute A game in this contest versus these Miami Dolphins. I'm taking the Bills to win on the comeback season after they stumbled early, and they're going to go walk away with this division. But there you have it. That is week number 18, Game Day Picks. We're getting closer to the NFL playoffs, and we're starting already with Dynasty content. I'm going to have lots of rankings, lots of Dynasty stuff for you before we get into all full-blown off-season content. You got to love it, but nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.